Well, it's episode 265. It's just Tim and Dan. We're just doing a throwback fireside chat, uh, one of those types of episodes at least. Although I did not do a good job preparing Dan a good fireside chat topic. I apologize that we don't really have that.
Hey, we can talk about fire. We could just talk about fire, like a
Best
fireplace.
fire in games? Oh, that'd be a good topic. I gotta write that one down. Best fire in games.
Is
Yeah, yeah,
is that a
that's a thing.
simulator game yet? Like where
Now,
you're
because
a
we've done
boss that
best, but we
fires
did
people?
we did best snow in games, right? We did snow in gaming,
Sure,
and we
sure,
had Jeff constantly saying "She's McQueen" like the whole time, like trying to be Jon Snow, and so anyway,
sure.
yeah, best fire in games could be kind of fun, but
Speaking
this
of
is a
Jeff,
unique, yeah,
talented musician, just released an album. Huh?
dude. Yes, let's give Jeff a shout out. So if you guys have, Spotify, for example, is a great place to show some support. Go give him some listens, follow him. Um, Jeff just released his new album this week. I'm looking up the title so I don't mess it up. I know I'm going to mess it up if
You
I
could
don't.
actually put it in the description. Like you could put the link to it.
Ooh, I will
That
do
would be a
that.
thing that works. Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Uh, maybe
But our
is it
Jeffy
under
boy is
Jeffrey Michael Widman? Is
becoming
that what it's
famous.
under? All right.
He shared it in the group chat, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his full name.
I think it is too. We're
I
going to get
actually
there.
I did listen when he shared it the other day. I listened to the whole thing. He's a talented fella. Talented fella.
Yeah, man. He's really good at what he does. There it is. I found it. What a Man Becomes is the
Yeah.
name of the album. It is out now. It's got 12 songs. I listened to three of them that he had sent us early. I think it was three, maybe more than that, but I think it was at least three.
Yeah.
Really, really love him. Um, Jeff is really talented, and the producer that he is working with, really talented as well. So go give
Yeah.
our buddy Jeff a listen and a follow on Spotify or wherever it is that you happen to listen to music. Look up Jeffrey Michael Widman and the album "What a Man Becomes." Has really cool artwork too. You see like a sunset. So go check it out.
Yeah, he's got some good
Jeff,
art
awesome.
for that too.
He does. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. So there's that, and our boy Kyle is out this week. Sometimes life gets crazy and busy, and so he is just handling his business, right? He's just being a man doing adult things, and it's not always fun, but
What
he's,
a man becomes. See, Jeff was making the
gosh,
album the precursor to you
this is
know
full circle. I mean,
what Kyle's doing.
what a Kyle becomes. Yeah.
What a
So yeah, it's down to you and me, man. And it's interesting because this weekend I actually was out of town for a little while. We did this men's retreat with our church where basically all the fathers and husbands get away for a weekend and all the moms have to deal with the chaos at home without us. But yeah, we just go up into the mountains and it was a good time. But that means that I am just totally wiped out, really tired, and with
sure.
really I think you were the only one kind of available around this weekend, Dan. So it would have either been a solo show where just you're talking, or we wait like we did and we're recording here last minute before the weekend is over to talk about some games. So thanks for adjusting. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean nobody wants me to do like a Bill Burr style podcast where I'm just ranting for 2 hours just to myself like a crazy person. Nobody wants that.
You know what? We don't know if we want it until we see it. So you're going to have to show it to us first
Sure,
and then we'll decide.
sure,
Okay? Let us decide that.
sure. That's true.
Uh,
I'll plan that for the future.
yeah, for next time. For next time. Just a fireside chat with only Dan. That'd actually be kind of funny.
It's just me by the
All right.
fire. So,
It's just Dan talking to himself. All right. So I'm adjusting things here on the fly a little bit as we roll forward. We do have a couple of new games to talk about, at least one specifically that I did have time to play before heading out of town this weekend. So I want to talk about the Khazan game, but there were other things that released this week as well. That's always fun to highlight, even if we aren't playing it. I just think for us and anyone who's watching and listening, sometimes it's fun just to kind of issue a little reminder. And in some cases, maybe a brand new announcement. You might not have heard of some of these games, but they're out. And I have actually heard from multiple people saying, no idea that game existed. But now that I saw it or I heard about it, I went and I got it. So I think that's cool. I like kind of elevating
yeah,
the little games that are out there before we talk about the big stuff. So
there's always games coming out, Tim. There's
There's always games coming out. So we will do that as well. But first, let's talk about there's two major releases that happened this week. The first one I have downloaded from Game Pass. I am excited to try it when it's time to try it. I just haven't had a chance to yet. Can you still see and hear this? Can you hear me okay, Dan, with that
I
switch?
can hear you.
Okay,
I
cool.
can see Atomfall, but it hasn't started yet. So
Well, here we go. We'll put on some B-roll of the game ranks Atomfall before you buy video. I haven't had a chance to play this yet. It's getting, kind of swimming in sevens, the higher end of swimming in sevens reviews. But
mhm.
it sounds like it is a pretty good time with its fair share of some jankiness. But if you see here, the setting is super cool. It's kind of like this countryside of England, post-apocalyptic, of course. Most games have to have that, but
Of
um,
course,
it seems to have a lot of personality and a really distinct setting, which I think is cool. It gives
yeah,
me very much Bethesda game type vibe. I don't know about you, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm
absolutely.
getting.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like a slightly more colorful Fallout. Well, I guess not slightly
yeah.
because this shot right here is actually pretty vibrant. So,
hmm
um,
And clearly open
but
world,
yeah, it's
right? You
like
saw right
English
there,
Fallout.
like the map had something added to it. You're discovering areas, so there's an element of open
Yeah,
world, uncovering to it.
when you're kind of in these shots right here, it almost looks like it's like sort of surrounded by mountains. So like,
hmm
it's probably not quite on Fallout level, but still like vast enough where yeah, you're doing some exploration. It feels like you're getting around. And
Yeah.
I was actually watching I think was it a review or maybe a preview of it, and they said there's like actually a lot of backtracking because there's not real
Uh,
fast travel in the game apparently,
Maybe they'll add that
which
in.
is
That's
kind of
something you can
tough.
patch in, maybe. But
Yeah.
um, mhm.
Um, so I don't know how I necessarily feel about that because like if you're just kind of trying to you know fluff up the hours there, pump up the hours
Yeah.
with artificial like I'm backtracking a lot, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to judge it because I haven't played it yet. So
Right. Yeah, fast travel for any kind of open world game is essential. So I hope that if they don't have it, that they add it soon. But yeah, you can see that I was watching some videos on it too. There's some elements of stealth. Sometimes I get a little bit of Dishonored vibes in addition to Bethesda games. Um,
yeah,
and sometimes even a little bit of Far Cry
mechanically,
vibes as you were approaching like a what looked like an enemy base and kind of scoping it out first before going into attack. I was like, all right, that was what I did in Far Cry all the time. I would try to scope out a base before going in and taking
it
enemies
definitely
out. So
looks better mechanically than Fallout. Like it has a little more nuance
yeah,
going on for sure.
yeah, yeah. So Atomfall is
Um,
out. It is on Game Pass if you have that. I do plan on giving it a try, so hopefully I can give better kind of impressions the next time we record because I do want to give it a try this week.
it is on PlayStation also. For some reason in my head, I think because I was so stuck on like, oh, it's coming to Game Pass. I was thinking Xbox only. It
Right.
is on PlayStation. So
Yeah, it's on PC. It's on PS5. It's just if you have Game Pass, you can download it and play it. If you
right.
don't, you can still, of course, purchase it on. I don't think it's on PS Plus. I could be totally wrong. So
It's not. So it's
okay,
$60.
okay. So there you go. Which is I'm still confused. What's the new full price for a game these days? It's 60. It's 70. Like who knows? I don't know if
You
60
know,
means something. But
I don't mind them all these devs exploring the range there. You know, the price ranges. If you feel like
yeah,
your game is a $60 game, then hey, go for it. If you think it's 70,
yeah,
it's like all right. I mean, we'll, yeah,
yeah, yeah. That is true.
lower than that, cool. I don't mind spending 30. You know,
Yeah, good point.
if
That
it's a
is
good
very
game.
true. So there you go. Atomfall is out. But the one that I did have a chance to play for a couple hours before heading out, and this is the Fextra Life review for the First Berserker Khazan. So this is first of all, is a developer's first foray into this space. Not even just a Souls-like, but an action RPG at all,
Mm,
which is super impressive.
yeah,
So the sound, of course, is off for our video that we're watching here, but Fextra Life and others, there's other great reviews out there too, do a really good job of breaking down the story, the setting, the background, kind of the lore of what is going into this game. But basically, the idea is that you are this great general, Kazan, and then through some turns of events, you are then convicted of being a traitor. They sever the tendons in your arms, and you're like near dead, and you're being transported. And then during transportation, you are ID'd by this kind of evil spirit, which turns out to actually be kind of like a legion of evil spirits that are sort of together as one evil being. and they
Mm.
decide to cause this avalanche that breaks you free. They infect your body, they kind of possess you, but you, as Khazan, and these evil spirits are sort of vying for control in a way. There's a little bit of that happening. And
Yeah.
then once you get through that first area, you set off on a quest to then remove this evil spirit from you. Because Khazan is meant to be like this upstanding, honorable general. I actually don't know all the details of why he was convicted as a traitor. I'm sure that the story is revealed a little more over time.
Somebody, I'm sure, planted some evidence saying he did something.
They
Some
betrayed him somehow, and then he'll
shady.
have to, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But he's clearly, I really like. I know it's a pretty common trope, but I really like the idea of he is a honorable person to a fault. Think like your Ned Stark type. It seems that way at least, and he's fallen on hard times to say the least.
Yeah.
And so this is the lady who kind of gives after that first area. You beat that first boss. This is the section that I've gotten to pretty much in the game is talking to her. I've
Okay.
done a couple of the trials after that. Um, but I'll just say this: when the game first started up, and Dan, you played the demo of this, so you saw this
Yes.
too. The first thing that jumped out to me, the visuals in this game are unreal, like really stunning
Yes.
looking, don't you think?
Yeah. The anime art style definitely like lends well to modern games because they can just it's like it just is straight up anime like
Mm-hmm.
like but you're playing a game so obviously you're gonna you can tell but yeah it's just really sharp really clean the
Mm-hmm.
outlines of like the characters and everything is just really sharp um yeah I think that stands out more than like say the backgrounds themselves but they're not like ugly by any means it's just definitely like he like Kazan looks sick like he's a cool looking character so
Mm-hmm. Agreed. That scene right there where he was pulling that sword out, that's where you get a new weapon. I don't know what the demo was because I actually never ended up playing it. But you
The
start with
demo
kind of.
I finished
Go
right up
ahead.
to where that old lady is.
Oh, okay. That's where the demo ends.
Yeah. I think it might have
Okay.
still been going, but I stopped and I was kind of like,
That's
I
where you
like
stop.
this, so
Okay.
I'm going to stop here. But it was
Yeah.
definitely at least up to that. Yeah.
So you start with your dual wielding axe and the sword, and you have some really cool combos with that. That's the whole first area. That's your only choice until once you're in this second area. I believe it's the second area. Now I'm blanking out on if this happens in the first area. But anyway, you get a great sword as an option. I don't know if you got to that, Dan. Did you
Nice.
get a great sword? Do you remember?
I
I
don't
know
think
it's been a
so.
couple months
I don't
probably
think
since you
so.
played it. So I mean, it
Yeah.
is hunking. It's huge. It's the kind of thing that you like. He has to do some effort to lift up and kind of put on his shoulder, and then like it's two
Yeah.
handed, massive swings
Yeah. I
and all
think I
that
just
kind of
had
stuff.
the dual wielding.
Okay.
So
So once you get this, and I think there's other weapons, I'm not far enough in to know. I haven't actually. I'm purposefully not watching every video I can on it because I want to just be surprised, and I'm excited to play the game and like learn it as I go. Um, but a whole new skill tree opens up as well when you get the great sword. So I assume any other weapons that you get, there's going to be another skill tree there.
right.
So and some of the skills you can unlock are pretty awesome. You can unlock some really cool combos, some different versions of charged attacks and things like that. It's funny because I know it's a Souls like, right? It's a Souls like just at its core gameplay mechanics in terms of when you die and losing your resources, better go back to get it, like all
Yeah.
that. And the bosses are hard and all that. But it has, at least in my opinion, I'm not saying it is at all a character action game, but there are elements when I'm playing it and it's going so fast, I'm unlocking abilities. I'm like, I feel like these guys also like Devil May Cry. And I'm not saying it feels like Devil May Cry 5. There's something about the combo system and the different weapons that are so different from each other, and they all have their own combos and their own skill trees. I'm like, oof, this gives me, I emphasize the word slight Devil May Cry 5 vibes, just in terms of some of the combat stuff. Nowhere near as fast, of course.
Yeah. That's like because when Stellar Blade came out, and then um, shoot, why am I blanking on the other game that came out
Oh,
last year that
the
I was
Black
like,
Myth Wukong?
yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With all these games coming out that are clearly inspired by Souls, but are trying to kind of go down their own little like path to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like not be exactly Souls like, but they are so like, and that's where things get like complicated, and it's like some people are just so like, well, it's just this thing, and it's like, well, I mean, there's a little more nuance going on there, but I guess things can get too wordy. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, like you said, at its core, it's definitely like a Souls like, but I think it's the speed of the combat that for me is what makes it not
Yeah.
like a literal 100% Souls game. It's
That's
definitely
right.
faster than
So
any of them
fast.
besides like Sekiro. I would say it would definitely be on par with
Sekiro.
like
Mm-hmm.
Sekiro.
It reminds me a
Yeah.
lot of Sekiro with a lot of the parrying and blocking being super key. and the way that you
Yeah.
have to just be strategic about how you use those things.
Hmm.
After you talk to that lady, one of the first trials is you learn this counterattack move. So if you parry and hit, I forget what button it is. I think it's X on the Xbox controller. Anyway, if you hit those together at the same time, right during certain attacks, you'll see the symbol come up on the screen. Then you'll do a
Mm.
devastating counterattack. So instead of just parrying them, you will actually do this really cool, depending on the weapon you have equipped, a really cool looking
Yeah.
counter attack that takes off a big chunk of health, really hurts their posture bar. And the posture bar reminds me of Souls type games too,
Hmm.
where you're
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
working on that. If you can get them stunned, now you've got the ability, think Sekiro, to do a really devastating assassination type move. That for a boss, as you can see that white bar underneath this boss that's being fought here, yes, you want the red health bar to go down ultimately, but that white bar will eventually get them to the point where a little red dot will appear on them, and now you can do this
Yeah.
super devastating attack that
Which
will
is
take
very
off a big
Sekiro.
old
It's
chunk of health.
literally a red dot in Sekiro also. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very inspired by Sekiro, I think. But
Which
yeah,
is
I
the
think
best Souls
the
game, Tim. So you know.
oh, you're so wrong about that, but that's okay. Uh, it's it's a really good one though.
Eh,
I mean,
eh.
it's a really good one.
I mean,
I don't
I
know.
finished
To me,
it,
to me
so
that
you
one
know.
and to me that one and Bloodborne are pretty even for me personally. I have them
Mm.
pretty evenly matched because they're so unique.
I
They
love the
have their.
setting of Bloodborne. I love the
I love
setting.
the setting of Bloodborne. I like the way that both of the combat feels. They're different from each other. I like both those games,
Yeah.
but to me, of course, not to beat a dead horse here, but Elden Ring's my jam. But those two are like a close second, kind of as a tie. But this game, I think, is it's intriguing so far. Now, I'm not far enough in to tell you that this is one of the best non-FromSoft Souls likes out there. I've heard really good
Mm.
reviews. Generally speaking, it has around an 8 out of 10 average ish across most outlets, which is very very good. Reminds me of the
Yeah.
reviews we saw for things like Lies of P, where they're like, "Hey, this is a beautiful game. Like the art style's great. It sounds like Lies of P. The combat is really well done. It's very tight and like it's got good systems. Reminds me of Lies of P. And with some balancing and maybe a sequel to this game, they'll really nail down how to best build a world, create bosses, have good balance across it. So it sounds like, to me, it sounds a lot like what we saw last year from, was it NeoWiz, the team that made Lies of P, I think.
Mm.
So yeah, it reminds me a lot of that game. Just not, and again, it doesn't play like Lies of P, just in terms of
Right.
brand new developer on the scene making a game in this genre, but giving it their own spin, both visually and the
Well,
gameplay kind of having its own
they
spin.
were doing updates and have been doing updates for Lies of P, and it's like in a much better place. And there's a DLC coming out too, so obviously,
DLC's
they
this
made a
summer for
good
that,
amount of
right?
money.
I think.
I
I
believe
think the
so. I
DLC's
believe
this
so.
summer. The
And that looks
prequel
really
DLC.
cool. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, very cool. So yeah, as you can see here, like it's very stylish, very bloody. As Dan mentioned, really,
Lots of
really
blood.
anime style. And when you do a perfect dodge and a perfect parry, it just feels so good. And you can start
Oh yeah.
unlocking skills where you can either do a strong attack or a regular attack right after a parry or right after a dodge that are really devastating attacks. If you want to emphasize one over the other, you can start leveling up your parry or your blocking even to take less stamina, or you can go a different route and
Mm.
make dodging something that takes less stamina. So you can kind of pick which path you want to go. But the cool thing
Yeah.
about this game is they don't even bother with a respecking currency. They just let you at any point unlearn a skill and use those points somewhere else. Right? Isn't that good?
Tim,
I think
why
that's
why
really good.
doesn't literally every goddamn game do that? Like, why
I
do you
don't know.
care
Why
whether
would you
I
punish me for
like
picking the
respect?
wrong skill? You know what I mean? Like, don't do
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
absurd. It's so silly.
I
So
agree. So
good.
it's
That's
really
good.
cool
That's
because
good.
a lot of these they do unlock an actual special move. Sometimes it just will like boost up damage you do or stamina regeneration, that kind of stuff. But a lot of times you'll actually unlock a really cool special move you can do, and you can map it to see down on the bottom right there. You can kind of map it to some buttons. Um,
Hmm.
so so yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's really cool. Again, I'm only a couple hours in. I basically just got through what the demo has available, and then a little bit further from what I know of. Maybe I'm still within the demo content actually, but
Yeah.
I really like it a lot. I'm excited to play more.
Are
Just
you
haven't
in an
had time
area where
to.
there's a lot of tall ladders, like big ladders and stuff, or?
I'm past that, the ladder section.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's where the now that I'm thinking of it, because I've seen a couple of streamers play it. That I think that's where the demo ends. So at the end of that
Like I
area.
did this part with against this bear, and this great
Okay.
sword part against these undead. But the bear, that's where you learn that kind of counterattack move, where if you hit parry and a certain button at the same time together during very certain attacks, everything glows red and a symbol appears on the screen, and then you have a quick
Mm.
window to hit that parry. There's the skill bar you can see here. They're showing on the video here. One of the other things I like too, like I died a couple times in dumb ways that were really annoying, but thankfully it wasn't super punishing because the save point was nearby. I was able to regather my, I forget what their version of souls are called, but anyway, I was able to regather my resources really easily. But I was, I think it was in that first space, all of a sudden the ground underneath you just fell, just kind of collapsed, and I fell and died.
Oh,
I was like, yeah,
okay.
okay. And so that happened like once or twice. I guess I should have
Okay.
been paying more attention to the ground. I don't know. But after I died a couple times, because I fell twice. None of the regular enemies were killing me, which was great. Some of them did some damage to me, but I was able to survive and kind of figure out the timing and the rhythm. The first boss, the big Yeti, he did give me a little bit of trouble at first. I was figuring out his moveset. He hits pretty hard. Um, so once I figured out his moveset, the big thing was trying to figure out how to dodge. He has this move where he picks up like half of the earth and then
Yeah.
slams it down, and you have to just time your
Right.
dodge
Yeah.
on that pretty much. Yeah, yeah, just half the earth, no big deal. But
Very
anyway,
usual stuff.
very normal, totally. But then after you die a few times, it brings up an option. Do you want to stay on normal? You're playing on normal, or do you want to go to easy mode? Which is basically saying if
Mm.
you're newer to these kind of games, try easy. So I stayed on normal because I really determined to beat that guy and to play this kind of as intended or as designed. That being said,
Right.
I am curious to hear from anyone who tries easy mode. How easy is it? Like, does it make it
Right.
like unfun? I imagine it just gives you bigger windows for parrying. Enemies probably do a little less damage. I imagine there's still
Yeah.
an element of you need to get pretty good, but so far I do not think this is a punishingly difficult Souls like. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm
Right.
sure there are bosses that I'm going to bang my head against the wall trying to beat, but yeah, there are definitely other Souls likes that I've played that like Liza P is one example. I thought that game got hard quick. So that
Mm.
was just in my experience. I did like it a lot,
Yeah.
but I definitely hit. I think by the time I hit the fifth boss that was giving me a lot of troubles when I started to fade from that game a bit. After a while, you just get tired of
Well, that's what's
struggling.
fun of the variety of all this too. Is and again, that's why for me personally, I just do lean more in the like when you're doing Souls, like just kind of do some things a little different. Don't just be so copy and paste about it. Even if it's
That's
super high
true.
quality, because it's just the
Yep.
same. You're just throwing a different skin on it. Like
Yep.
speed up the combat so it's all kind of sick anime like this, or like Stellar Blade, which is not slow, but it just feels a little more deliberate. But
Very
it
deliberate,
kind
which
of
is
like
an adjustment, by the way. Like Stellar Blade,
yeah,
I didn't give it the time it deserved to really see if it would click for me. But you've got to
yeah,
give that one a minute to get into the rhythm with. This one reminds me a little more of a character action type game, like I mentioned, just because it feels responsive right away. It feels a little easier right
mhm.
away. Um, I'm sure it gets tougher. I'm saying all this, and I'll probably next week I'll be like, dude, this game's so hard. Like I'm sure that's gonna happen.
It's like I'm
Um,
actually done with this game. I'm done.
yeah, I'm out. But yeah, like Liza P, I thought was more purposeful. Every movement mattered, and if you messed up, you
Mhm.
could really take a lot of damage. Stellar Blade, very purposeful. If you were getting swarmed by those little like robot spiders coming at you,
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
like you need to be like purposeful. And she's incredibly powerful, but you also can't just waste. You can't just sit there and swing away with your weak attack because it's
no,
fast. Like
yeah,
you have to actually use the systems that they've built in that game.
yeah.
So anyway, so far so good. I really am enjoying Kazan, and absolutely worth the purchase. I went ahead and just bought it on Steam. Um, in my opinion, 100% worth that
Nice.
purchase. So I'll give you more thoughts on it as I get a chance to play it more. Hopefully this week alongside Atomfall. But there's a few other.
Is this one 60 or 70?
It was 60, I think.
Okay,
I'm
yeah, I
pretty sure
wasn't
it was
sure if it was a
60.
71.
Yeah, I think it was 60. Because there, oh no, maybe it was 70. Yeah, because there was this. If you go on CD keys, which I didn't, I just bought it on Steam. But a CD keys was
Okay.
down to like 58, so it was like $12 off. So yeah, I think it's 70.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. But again, totally worth it. And there's something too about supporting these newer devs that are just kind of digging. Like their only other game that I know of is some kind of yeah, it almost looked like a mobile fighter or something. I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't like a.
The in the
It was something smaller.
beginning of this trailer or this
Hmm.
review or whatever, it was DNF, like just the acronym of
Um,
it. It's like dual
ne-
something
oh,
fighter.
okay, yeah. This Neopol, however
Yeah,
you say it. That's
DNF
the
duel
company
is.
that made it.
I
DNF
did
Duel.
not
Okay.
finish it.
So yeah, so that's a is that a mobile game? Sounds like a mobile game.
It's I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's on consoles, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like
Okay.
a fighting game. Like it's a legit. I don't actually know anything about it. It just like it looks excellent. Like visually, it looks great. I just don't know anything about it because it just kind of seemed like
Yeah.
something out of nowhere, and it like almost kind of carrying itself like it's like you should know what we are, and I'm like I don't know what you are. I have no
I
clue.
don't know what you are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, highly recommend, especially if you're a Souls like fan. But even if you just like kind of action RPGs, I would say give this one a look because the easy mode might, take some of the fear is the wrong word. Some of the hesitation around a Souls like genre might take some of that away a little bit. Take some of the sting out of it if the easy mode is what I would imagine that it is. So. Yeah, I would advise people give it a look. I think the demo is still available too on some platforms, so you can try it
I
out.
feel like it should be. Yeah.
Another Souls-like game that's getting not as good of reviews, but not horrible either, called AI Limit. This is out
Hmm.
now. Our buddy Derek, I think, bought this. I think he's liking it. He was telling me about it. He said it reminds him of Code Vein, or at least maybe the look of it reminded him of Code Vein
Sure.
from a couple
Okay.
years ago. Again, another anime style Souls-like. So I don't know much about it though. I
I
haven't
had
tried it, but it is
I
out.
had downloaded the demo of this because like well I see anime. I'm like huh.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? So
Some of this
I never
design
did
looks cool,
play
right?
it.
Some of those boss fights looked pretty nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what had intrigued me. And then just the other day, I was like, oh right, I forgot I downloaded the demo of this because I saw it was in the store for sale, and I watched the trailer.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, it's a Souls like okay. So I was like, not as excited.
That's
Um,
not a
but
maybe
it
that's
would
not
be
an
something.
instant buy for you, but the design is more of a dance style for.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I have no judgment of it because I've not played it, so I'm not gonna actually speak to it. But I do like the aesthetic of it a lot. Like what? Look at this guy. Like what was that? And her arm. Look at her arm. It looks sick. Like, there's definitely some nice visual stuff going on here for sure.
Yeah, agreed. There you go. AI Limit is out now, as is Dark Deity 2, which is this kind of I think
Ooh,
tactics RPG game. Has a really
I'm
cool
gonna guess tactics. Yeah.
um, style to it. I like the pixel art style for this game. I think it looks really neat. I like the character portraits as well. So again, I don't know if it's good, but I just thought it was worth showing people because the style looks cool. Reminds me of kind of old PS1 days of tactical style RPGs, and then it cuts
Well,
to
that's
a
like a Fire Emblem thing, right?
Fire Emblem type.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Where it
visuals.
goes to like a yeah.
Okay, we are back. I think. I hope. Little technical difficulties on my side, audio wise, whatever. That's part of the joy of this thing, right? Is figuring out that
Exactly.
stuff. But yeah, feel free to flag that if you see that happen again. All right, let's keep rolling here. Some other new stuff that's out. Breakout Beyond, which I think looks super fun.
Oh,
Obviously, an Atari throwback. Um, it'll show it here in a second, but it just looks like a really flashy arcade. There you go.
huh.
A real
Yeah.
flashy version of Breakout. Just wild. Think like Pac-Man Championship Edition and the crazy Tetrises and all that kind of stuff. It kind of has that vibe
I like
of
that it's sideways though, instead of
me
top
too.
down.
Yeah. I don't know if it has
That's cool.
multiple ways to play it or if it's all sideways. I actually
Yeah.
don't know. But it's called Breakout Beyond, and it
Oh,
is
that's fun.
out. I think it is out now. Yeah, available now. Switch,
Oh yeah.
Xbox, Steam, PlayStation, Atari VCS. I don't know what that is, but cool.
It's
Um,
something.
yeah, something. So yeah, that is out, and so is Grit and Valor, 1949. It is a think like Front Mission, but World War II era, kind of that alternate history, Wolfenstein, World War II style. Um, I think it's getting like the reviews on it aren't stellar, but they're not. They're also
Hmm.
not like horrible. I think it's a roguelike tactical game, from what I can tell.
Okay.
But
Well, you said roguelike, so you
and
said one of
Dan's
the
out.
words then.
Yeah, don't give me Rogue or
So annoying.
Souls. Either of those,
Yes.
or I'm out.
Or what's the third one? I always forget what the third one is. There's
Rogue,
roguelites, there's
Souls.
souls,
Is it just mobile, free to play? I don't know. I don't know what
procedural
it is.
generated. I don't know.
Procedurally generated. You're super out. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So Grit and Valor 1949, which I believe is out on Steam right now. I don't think it's anywhere else. If it is, I'm not sure where that would be. All right, this game is called Mother Machine, and I think it looks weird and but interesting. It's a kind of a side-scrolling adventure game. Here, I'll scroll down a bit so you can see the description. Co-op action RPG. Players make their very
Okay.
own gremlins. You design your own gremlin and take advantage of the creative
Oh, so
chaos.
Gaston's in.
Yeah, yeah, totally in.
Gaston's in. Yeah,
But yeah, like the
absolutely.
art style looks interesting. It kind of reminds me of like old Nickelodeon looking stuff or something like that. Like I don't, there's something about the claymation
Yeah.
animation to this that's weird.
Or like,
But cool.
yeah, or just one of those network channels back in like the late '90s, early
Yeah,
2000s, or something. Like,
yeah, yeah. So it's called Mother Machine. Yeah, you develop your own little gremlin, and then I think it looks like co-op for sure. And then you
oh,
explore this
interesting.
weird, wacky kind of side-scrolling but 3D looking world that they've made here. So yeah, it looks pretty interesting. And it is out now. Let's see if it says any other platforms besides Steam. I think it's just on Steam for now. Yeah.
Huh. That's
Featuring DLC
with
content.
a platformer, I kind of feel like you need to put that on consoles, but
I agree with you. I agree. Well, this game is called Blue Wednesday. It is a kind of point and click adventure, but I thought the art style looked kind of interesting. Got little mini games in here. It looks like you work at a convenience store or something. But anyway, point and click adventure game called Blue Wednesday that I thought was worth highlighting. Um,
yeah, I like
shapes,
the look of it.
music, your story. There you go. Available now. Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and
Yeah,
Steam as well.
yeah, I like the art style.
All right, then there's a game out called Bubble Ghost. I guess it's a remake of an old game. I'm not familiar with Bubble Ghost. I don't know anything about it. At a glance, it reminded me of like Casper meets Boy and His Blob,
Mm,
because it's a bit of that side-scrolling thing. But yeah, he's got that friendly ghost, like you would capture in Luigi's Mansion or like you see from
yeah,
Casper. But yeah, it kind of
looks
reminds me of
friendly.
old NES Game Boy type game at a glance. Just has a
Yeah,
modern sheen to it. So
never heard of it, but cool.
me neither. Yeah, they say I think it's a remake of the original Game Boy action adventure platform. There you go. It was a Game Boy game.
Oh, it's a Game Boy game. Okay,
It's a remake of a
interesting.
Game Boy game. Bubble Ghost remake demo is available now. The game is out now. So yeah,
Well,
play on
everybody was
Steam or
definitely
Switch.
asking for this.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who wasn't. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep on moving because there's a bunch. Um, Instruments of Destruction. Check this one out. It's kind of got a cool look to it. It's kind of cell shaded Transformers.
See, so
I guess
roguelite, I'm out. You say destruction, I'm in.
you're back in on the destruction piece.
I'm
Okay,
back in.
I like the destructible environments. I like the idea of just driving a piece
Yeah,
of construction work into buildings and just like that tear down game was gave me a few hours of fun just for that alone.
and this looks like kind of like miniature. So it like this looks like when you're a kid and you're playing with like little miniature cars and toy and you're like smashing stuff and you're picturing all like the
Yes,
destruction and everything. Like that's what
exactly.
this is reminding me of.
Exactly. No idea if it's any good, but the physics part of it and destruction part of it alone looks intriguing. And the explode, look, it looks. The visuals are pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Um, so they are calling that a vehicle action game, advanced physics-based destruction, and it is now out. It's been out on Steam in early access. Now I guess
Oh,
the
dude,
1.1
it's a
version's
mech.
out on Steam. Yeah, yeah, that
All
was
right,
a
this
mech.
actually looks pretty fun.
Yeah,
This
and
looks
now
kind
it's
of
out
fun.
on consoles too. So it was just on Steam in
Oh,
early
there we go.
access. Now it's out on everything, full release. So there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Instruments of Destruction out now. All right.
Cool.
Also, ooh, that's loud. Hang on. There we go. Saga Frontier 2 remastered.
Yeah.
Now is
I never played
we've
any of
we've
these.
talked about the Saga games before about how they're a little weird, right? They're a little out there, right? Is it this
So
series?
there's I always confuse because there's Saga Frontier and then there's the other one uh, that's like kind of like the B tier as far as like being known, not B
Yeah,
tier in quality, but like
yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
known. There's another like Enix or I forget if it was SquareSoft. This Saga, and I'd have to look it up, but because I know there's two different ones that have the word Saga in it.
Okay, okay. Well, this one's got a kind of a cool art style. Some hand drawn, some pixelated. You know, it's a remastered version of an older game, but look at the background. It's kind of an interesting clash of two styles. But I suppose it could
Hmm.
make for an interesting visual experience. But as I saw with the Suikoden games, sometimes it can be a little jarring to have pixelated on top of really kind of more realistic backgrounds, and sometimes it works, sometimes less so. This has like the stenciled backgrounds and settings with very pixelated characters on top, which I think is an interesting choice.
Well, they
Like, it
look
looks
pixelated, but also kind of like feel. I don't know. Like it's like outline wise, they're pixelated, but the
outlined,
actual
yes, yes,
like the colors of them look like they're kind of more drawn.
that's
It's
true.
interesting. That I'm intrigued. That's why I'm intrigued by this. Like it does have an
Yeah,
interesting look to it.
it does. Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, that is
Romancing Saga. I think that's what I was thinking of.
that's the one. Okay, that's the one that's really strange. I remember trying one of the demos for one of those. Like, this is a weird game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, Saga Frontier 2 Remastered is out now. I know it's for sure on Switch. This was part of the Nintendo Direct, I believe. Um,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and then, yeah, I'm sure it's on other platforms too. Let's see if it says here at the end. Well, this is a
I'm pretty
Switch
sure it's on everything.
trailer, so this is just going to say
Yeah. Yeah.
Switch. I think it was a shadow drop for that Switch
It
Direct.
was, and which is
Pretty sure.
awesome. I love RPGs being shadow dropped,
Dude,
whether it's
that's
a remake, remaster, or not. But
yeah, I agree with that. That's crazy to have a shadow dropped RPG. Okay,
but
so
there is
that
a
is out.
streamer that I watch regularly, and
Hmm.
he's like he super loves these, and he
Okay.
said that they're incredibly difficult. They're very hard.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Old school RPG through and through, it sounds like. So
yeah.
nice. All right. Well, this one looks like a lot of fun. This next one, this is a game called Squirreled Away. Uh,
Oh,
it literally is a 3D platformer where you're a squirrel, I believe, trying to collect
sweet.
nuts, acorns, that kind of thing. That's what it looks like, at
You
least.
you have my attention. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, you know what? I was gonna say you have my attention, but he's missing a gun.
Yeah.
So
No gun for
you
this
know,
squirrel. But look, crafting.
yeah.
Look at that. Build little houses in the
Oh,
trees.
okay. I'm back in. You know what? I'm back in. I'm back in. You give me
Um,
some building, and I'm back in.
the art style of this looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
If the gameplay actually feels good, if the 3D platforming actually feels good, it looks pretty decent.
Oh
And
my
the
god, they were
building is
fishing.
fun. Yeah, they were fishing. Yeah,
They were just. Oh my god,
yeah.
a turtle, dude. I'm in. I'm
Squirreled
back. I'm
away.
fully in. I'm back fully in.
Yeah, this is why I like this segment. Is because it's games that we normally would never have known about, but then here it is.
Yeah.
So it is out on
Happy for
Steam.
you.
I'm sure it'll come to consoles, especially if it does well. But they call it a vibrant park ecosystem. Navigate trees, climb rocks, collect materials to build and decorate your dream treehouse. Connect a series of outposts on your way to build your very own empire, a squirrel empire. That's
Your own
hilarious.
empire. That's very. It's very serious, Tim. It's
Yeah,
very serious
yeah.
stuff.
So squirreled away. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So yeah, that is out. I am the squirrel. There you go. All right, we
Cool.
talked about this already, but I thought I'd just feature it since it is now out. Twilight Monk, which you played the demo for. Pretty
Oh
sure.
yeah, played a little bit of it.
Yeah, cool. Very stylish kind of side-scrolling action platformer. Love the
Yeah.
art style of this one. So this is absolutely one
Yeah.
that I have on my wish list. Will grab on a sale when I don't have a lot of other games in the queue. But it looks really fun. So
Yeah, I liked the look of it more than what mechanically was going on, but again, it was a demo and it's like the beginning of the game, so
right.
got to give it time to breathe and give you more stuff to do. But
Exactly. Sometimes the powers can make the core gameplay feel improved, feel better, but sometimes the core
mhm,
gameplay, just the feel of a jump maybe and how it feels to like sometimes they just don't. And so I haven't tried this one. I downloaded the demo but never did try it.
yeah,
Um, it's just hard to know. You have to try it for yourself sometimes to see if the feel
yeah,
is right with these games. That's why games
exactly.
like your Dead Cells and stuff like that, they just nail the feel so well that it's like, well, this is perfect. And so sometimes other games
Yeah,
get it, sometimes they don't. So,
exactly.
but I don't know. Twilight Monk is out if you want to give it a look. Also out this week is Game of Thrones Kingsroad.
Oh yeah,
So this is a
forgot
game I
about
tried
that.
the demo for. It is definitely a double A style, like quality, as you can even see here. It kind of looks like Xbox 360, Xbox One. It doesn't look like a modern game, but it certainly is in the world of Game of Thrones. You create a character, you are experiencing a storyline with lots of characters you'll know if you read the books or watched the show, decisions to make, some pretty interesting different skill sets to use. The combat is fine. I tried it out. It's surprisingly good. I expected it to be pure garbage, and it is not. So if you go in with
Yeah,
expectations of, hey, this is a double A production, I think intended mainly for mobile, although it's on consoles and PC, I think.
right.
So just going with that mindset of this is not going to be a AAA Game of Thrones game. It's worth a look. There's a demo available. You can give it a try. It's interesting that this exists, number one, and that it's not pure just garbage. Like they've got some voice acting. You'll even see here some of the combat. Like it's what you would expect, right? You can kind of dodge. You can target somebody and really focus on them. You got combos, strong attack, weak attack, special moves you unlock. Yeah, there's something to this that's interesting to me.
I think it's just been the mobile element that's like been confusing to us and kind of been like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. I think that's what gives it some of its cheaper look is that it's a game that you would play on a PC or a console, but it's also a mobile game, so it like doesn't look top tier.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I don't hate the visuals. I actually think they're pretty nice, but
yeah.
Like you can tell who these characters are. Like I'm seeing, like I've not watched Game of Thrones, but I know this actor.
But you recognize Jamie. This is Jamie. Yeah,
yes,
Lannister.
I'm like, this is clearly that character. So you know, they at least got that going for him.
Totally agree. So that is out. So is this one, Dan? If you want something cozy, River Towns looks pretty cozy to me.
Oh.
So this is a, how do they describe it? Town rebuilding mission in this River Towns game. Demo's out now. You can solve puzzles by placing buildings and creating vibrant cities in river towns. Each district, has its own style and shape, making every level a new challenge. So you're restoring these villages in these river towns, clearing out that bramble, thorns, and stuff, and kind of rebuilding these little towns. Kind of puzzle / town builder.
Looks unique.
Yeah. I think it's meant to be pretty cozy, but you never know. Sometimes these cozy games, when they have a puzzle element, they can also be stressful. So I'm not sure how cozy it actually is, but it does look interesting.
That's that word right there, much like Souls, is like so overused. A cozy game. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, what does that mean to some people? It's like, well, it looks cute. It's like, well, that doesn't make it cozy. Like if it's a game where I'm like, you know, Souls type combat, but it's like it looks cute. It's like, well, it's not a cozy game. Like,
I totally agree. Yeah. But yeah, River Towns is out now, and I think there might be one more. Let's see.
And we have one more announcement.
Oh, there's two more little games that came out. Drive Beyond Horizons. This is supposed to be literally like you just drive across the country type, like a driving simulator almost. I've heard, I've read a few people give some impressions online. It sounds like it's pretty empty. You really are just driving, but you customize your car. Apparently you can explore, as you can see here. You can dig up some treasures and find stuff. I just don't know how fun or in depth that stuff is. But the chicken.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay.
Some eye contact being made.
There you go.
So yeah, it's called Drive Beyond Horizons is what it's called. Drive Beyond Horizons. So I'd imagine you can probably upgrade a car, maybe get a new car over time. But as you can see, not like the most stunning visuals. Oh, that looked like a person in the road, didn't it? Pretty sure there was a person in the road. Zombie? Is this a zombie game? You have a gun? Oh, it's also a zombie game. Oh,
here we go. Yep, there you go. Surprised.
Yeah. Surprise. Yeah, so there you go. Building up. Look at that. You can refurbish a car and then start driving it. So there's an element of simulator, survival. Look how cool that car looks now. Dang.
Oh, man, he did that in like 30 seconds, Tim, while the zombies are like encroaching on him.
They can't use real car names, so this one's called the Musgoat instead of Mustang, and it's a goat symbol instead of a horse on the front.
You know what? I'll take a Musgoat over a Mustang.
I think I would too. So anyway,
second car.
Drive Beyond Horizons. Even though it says 2024, that's an older trailer. It didn't come out until this week, so it is out now. So there you go.
Interesting.
All right, this last one is called Level Devil. Super old Atari looking thing, but apparently the best worst game ever.
Okay.
But like the idea is that you go through these really fast levels. They get, of course, super progressively more difficult, but you have to figure out the tricks. You're gonna hate this developer.
They're very self-aware.
Yeah. It's like an evil, sadistic Atari game. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
A 600 game. Yeah, so it's kind of like in vein of like Super Meat Boy and stuff.
Super Meat Boy, or like that N Plus. Remember that like Ninja Plus game or whatever? has that kind of vibe to it. So looks fun. Looks this
Looks.
game
I mean,
plays
you
you
know,
more than you
we're
play
gonna hate
it.
the developer though, so
Yeah, we're gonna hate the developer. That's right. So anyway,
really worth the trauma.
true, true, true. All right, so I think that is it for new games. That's a lot, but sometimes it's fun to highlight the little indie games that otherwise we probably wouldn't have talked about or known
Yeah.
about. So yeah, those are all the games that are out. Okay, let's put that stuff aside. Dan, you've been playing some Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, last week
Mm.
we gave some initial impressions on Assassin's Creed Shadows, which were, I think, mostly positive. We gave our non-professional, outside-looking in views on people's hot takes on this game, and we're not going to give those anymore because those are boring, and who cares about those? What do you think about the actual video game? Because, by the way, this is a fictional video game. What do you think about it?
Now, Tim,
And
listen, we're gonna spend the next 4 hours breaking down the history. No,
of every character that's mentioned in the game.
every character,
Yeah, because
every
that's so fun.
era within
I
the
only want
Japanese
things that are
thing.
100% accurate for the way I see them. That's all I want. No, no. Okay, so set that
Yes.
stuff aside. I'm really excited to get back. I've played a little bit more of this, not a ton, um, but I have played a little bit more. Mostly as now away. I haven't really gotten to where I can use Yasuke yet again, but I am excited for that. How's your experience with the game so far?
So I'm gonna just first mention that I'm a bit of a dummy, and so I'm 21 hours in the game, and I haven't. I also have not gotten back to Yasuke.
But you've spent
Um,
21 hours just exploring with Naoe, basically.
exploring, but so the dummy part. So this game is not like built in a way where okay, you're going through the areas and like in all the little blips are popping up and you're like, oh, there's the main story blip, I'm gonna go over that. That's not how the game's designed, and I kind of forgot that. So
Ah,
because when you pull up the menu, you have, and they've been doing this for the last few Assassin's Creed games, but you go to do, what is it, objectives, I think, in the
mm,
menu,
mm-hmm.
and you have kind of like this, like almost like this board, and it's circle, and there's all the people
Yeah.
that are like the targets and like and important characters and such
Yeah,
within the
they
game.
introduce to you
So
kind of your enemies and like different towns that have key NPCs, all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to go in there and click one of the main baddies that I'm chasing down, which
Mm.
was available to kind of get that quest going. So here I am 21 hours later, finally realizing that.
But you've been spending a lot
um,
of time exploring then, and it sounds like
yes,
you're enjoying like the world they've built there then to explore and wander around.
yeah. So I don't know if this has just been because they gave themselves that extra time, which it let them sort of massage the mechanics and kind of like um details within the world, but
Yeah.
there's like even like, and this is just stuff that I like appreciate because like I'm not somebody who likes to bitch moan and complain about everything. I actually like to try to think of the goods and the positives in games and what they're,
Yeah.
these developers are doing regardless of what my social opinions are and blah blah.
Yeah.
um so when you go in buildings, I don't know if you've noticed him, but when you go, and not buildings that you're trying to infiltrate and like take the enemies out, like bases and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but if you go into like a just one of your buildings or something, your shoes come off. You have no shoes.
I have not seen that yet. Okay. Do you actually
Yeah.
have an
So
animation where
like
she takes them off or they just pop off?
no,
Okay.
no, because basically it's just you kind of like you're running in and out of rooms, so it just kind of
Okay.
it just happens.
That's kind of a
But
nice little
it's
touch
a cool
though.
detail that I noticed. Yes, because
Yeah.
and that's obviously not just a Japanese thing, but it is a very Japanese culture. Like take off your shoes, take
That's
everything, and
right.
then you go into the house. You have nothing on, no footwear, no socks or anything,
Yep.
and yeah, just your shoes come off, and then when you go back outside, your shoes are back on.
Mm.
Um, I think the parkour is, I haven't played Valhalla since it came out, but I think I feel very strongly this is the best like movement and parkour in the entire series.
They kind of had to, right? Because if she's going to truly be this shinobi ninja style character,
Yeah,
you can't have her be big clunky Viking like Eivor was,
yeah,
which
right.
I liked. Eivor to me was more like Yasuke, right? Big, burly, smash. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
kind of the same in Odyssey too. You're just kind of smash whether you picked the brother or the sister, either way you're going to be smashing things. So you're
yeah.
right. The way that she is so fluid, the way she moves, the grappling hook is awesome. Like she just feels like this super sneaky Sly Cooper style little ninja just darting around. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, like in most of the games in the past, and some I feel like it did kind of almost like go up and down a little bit, which was odd considering the series moving forward. You think it should keep getting better and better, but sometimes it almost feel like a little bit of a step back. Um, Even things like if you've played enough of these games, like if you're on top of a roof and you want to go not straight but like diagonal,
Hmm.
it's always had like for the most part always had a difficult time your character differentiating like when you're tilting the analog stick,
Hmm.
at an angle. The character's like, wait, do you want to go straight, do you want to go, it can't quite. And this seems to do it the best. Like
Yeah.
she most of the time is, if I'm wanting her to go diagonal, she's jumping diagonal,
Oh,
which is
nice.
awesome.
See, I've only done a
um
couple of missions with her just free roaming. I stumbled upon this, I guess, base or something. They took over like this little town, it looked like, that
mhm.
had a pretty walled in space with lots of treasures to find. And all of a sudden, I was super hooked, and I just didn't have a lot of time to play this past week.
Yeah.
But that whole loop of find a place, mark all the bad guys, take them out one by one, sneak through the bushes. I love the crawl mechanic too, by the way. I love that she can get down and like
Yes.
army crawl through the
She
shorter
gets
grass.
prone. She
The
goes prone.
prone crawling was just really great. But then yeah, it's the stuff that I want. I don't want it to be so realistic that it's nearly impossible to stealth. I like
Right.
being the superhero style stealther, where you are barely able to be seen. You can whistle, and those idiots will come over to you, and you can instant kill them. By the way, I know that some enemies are too strong until you upgrade your assassination
Yeah.
skill tree, but there is an option in the menu. Like if you want to play Assassin's Creed in a way that, hey, I'm an assassin, I want to be able to assassinate anyone, you can turn on always instant kill for assassination in
Oh,
the
okay.
settings.
I did
So
not have that on.
yeah. So some people don't like that. They want to play it like, hey, some enemies are too strong. Okay, fair enough. But I actually don't think that's not easy mode. To me, that's more of I just want to be a true assassin. That makes sense to me to turn that option
Sure.
on if you want to. But
I mean, it's there, and
it's
play how
there.
you want to play. It doesn't
That's
affect my
right.
life. So,
That's right. But I
um,
even like the open combat. Like when I've gotten into open combat, even with Nowaway a
yeah,
couple times, who I know is meant to be our stealth experience for most of this game, but she is really competent in open combat as well. Like some of the counters that she can do and stuff like that, like feels really good to do all that kind of stuff. And of
yeah.
course, run away and
Her
hide and stealth again if you want to.
Yeah, her like kind of the acrobat, the all the sort of
Hmm.
jumping around and stuff that she's doing during combat. Just her general movement speed and like agility. Obviously very different from Yasuke,
Hmm.
which is cool that that they show him first to kind of be like, all right, well, here's the big heavy guy with the big heavy weapons, and
Yep.
he feels that way, and
Yep.
then you're gonna transition to the character that is technically, and they've have said themselves, Naoe is like the main character. Like
She's the main
if you're having,
protagonist. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
so she, yeah, feels great to play. And yeah, you can literally just dart away. Like she runs, like, I don't know if you've run on any rooftops, but even like that, like typical like anime ninja run with like
Uh
one
huh.
hand kind of behind
Yeah.
her. And she's like, not both hands, not Naruto, but like kind of like one
Right.
hand behind her. She does that on like kind of like narrower
Yeah, like
paths. Like if
on
you're
the
running
peak of a roof when you have that little thin thing
yeah,
going
yeah,
across.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And she like does that ninja run. And you're like, oh, this is sick. I'm such a ninja.
There's something from
Um,
Valhalla they brought over that I like, and that is when you're in focus mode, you're just kind of like holding in the left trigger to kind of like look around. And this is even without Eagle
yeah.
Eye on. You'll see these little golden or blue dots, these little orbs that you can kind of highlight,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's usually going to be a point of interest, or it's going to be a treasure or an item to pick up, or you refill your rations or whatever. Those little touches I always liked. To me, it's like it's streamlining the experience where it's not punishing me; it's letting me you know, find things pretty easily. I can go into Eagle Eye mode right at the beginning of this game and mark all the enemies that are nearby, and you can continue to upgrade
Yeah.
stuff as you go. But I really like that. I think when some of these Assassin's Creed games have held some of those features back, you have to either unlock them or get a special ability, or sometimes they're gone altogether. I forget which one was it. Valhalla. One of them didn't really have the same marking mechanic in it, and it was always frustrating to me
Yeah.
trying to get through. I think it was Odyssey. No, I think it was Valhalla. Anyway, so I really,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I
it's
believe
very
it was.
streamlined and really fun, uh, right out of the gate. Like I didn't have to wait for a while before stealth becomes fun, which I think is awesome.
I feel like yeah, and I feel like it's definitely a necessity because pretty quick once you do kind of like let yourself loose and you are out there, like the castles that you come across,
Hmm.
Tim. they're freaking huge, dude. Like,
I
holy
can't
crap.
wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
Like, there's so many enemies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I'll find an area and it's like, all right, I just tagged like 10 dudes. Okay, let me like kind of sneak around and do my thing. And then like I'll kind of like be like, all right, I think I'm gonna go in this direction now. And there'll be another like 10, 15 dudes over there. Like these castles that you find are there's like at least 100 dudes within the whole castle walls. Like
Dang.
there's like so many enemies. It's
So
actually
they're
wild.
legit.
Um, yeah, they actually do take some time.
Yeah.
So you know, but there's treasures in there. It's worth it is worth getting into those places and doing those things. So
So since you haven't um, advanced the story a ton yet, with all the side stuff you've done, exploring you've done, have there been many like boss type encounters, or is it mostly like taking down groups of enemies and things like that?
so there's like bosses base. So when you go into like the castles or whatever I think there's like other areas that are like a little smaller than a whole castle, but like well, I'll use the castles as an example. So yeah, bunch of soldiers around. You're taking them out. There's actually civilians too.
Mm.
And if you do kill too many of them, you do get like a pop up that's like, oh, you've killed too many civilians, and then it like resets. So it's like
Mm.
whoopsies, which has been a thing in the past before. You're not supposed to kill regular people, but like the thing with the civilians in this is like so it's kind of it's basically the it's the people that work there. What's the help? You know, the kind of like the
Yeah.
servants or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll like freak out, so they'll like see you and be like, oh, I'm gonna go snitch on you. So they're running to the soldiers to like go snitch on you. So you, instead of assassinating them, because that's what you're trying to avoid, you can grab them. So if you hit triangle on PlayStation, you can grab them. You can
Oh,
actually bring
nice.
them. You can bring them like somewhere that's like, maybe if it's like a little, if it's kind of like nighttime, somewhere a little darker, so no one can see the body as easily, because obviously if they stumble across the body, they're just like, oh, what's going on.
Right.
But yeah, so there's the servants that you want to silence them because they'll snitch on you. And then there's actually like these samurai dudes that are kind of like, depending on the size of the castle, it can range between like 2 to 4 that you have to take out within the whole castle.
Mm.
And then you can open like the special chest that's like in the main building. So there'll be a main building that has one of the eagle view things, so you can, open up the map in there when you get to the top of the roof. That's usually where the main building is, and within that
Gotcha.
building,
Okay.
there's a special chest, but you have to
Hmm.
kill the samurai dudes, like the main like commander, whatever they are, samurai dudes
Yeah,
within
I
those
think
walls.
at least in the smaller one I took over, I haven't done a castle yet. That sounds much more epic, which is cool. I had to take out
Yeah.
an elite. There was an elite who was kind of patrolling the area, and that
Okay.
that one
Did he
was
have
much
like the
tougher.
samurai helmet
Nah,
like
this
icon
this
above
was a
him?
lower level one.
Okay.
It's early on. I think it was meant to be easier. So it
Okay.
it looked actually more like a ninja or shinobi style
Okay.
character. They were really
Yeah. These
fast.
guys, like, when you target them, you'll see like an icon that looks
Okay.
like a samurai helmet,
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
floating above their head.
Okay.
So,
And they're the ones I'm guessing
and
you
those
can't
guys,
one shot kill unless you turn on that option.
no,
Yeah.
no, because there's so like with enemies, there's the health bar, and then some of them have armor. So
Hmm.
like then there's a yellow bar above that you have to like dwindle that down, and then some of the armor falls off, and then that's when you're actually doing more damage to the health. But yeah, there's different big guys. Some of them have the big blunt weapon.
Hmm.
Some of them actually have like they're bigger. They're all big fellas, but some of them have the blunt weapon. Some of them actually have dual daggers, so they're
Mm.
actually a little quicker, even though they're big guys. So you're like, oh, that kind of throws you off a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and then the traditional katana guys like running around, but they're all big guys. But they're different. So there's some different ones. So they all fight a little differently depending on what weapon they have. It's cool.
Nice. So are you at a spot now where you're like, okay, I'm gonna continue the story, or are you gonna do your Legend of Zelda approach where you just keep carving your own path?
I basically have done a little bit of that because again, being a dope and forgetting, all of my equipment right now is gold, which I think is the highest tier, except for
Dang.
my katana.
So
My
you're
katana is
gonna
blue.
you're just gonna be way overpowered for the story.
Well, like that's the thing though, because this game is still structured like the last three Assassin's Creeds. It still has that RPG element where you are leveling up.
Mm.
There's areas of the map that are divided where it's like you can't go over here, buddy. Like you're gonna die one hit. So it's still structured that way, even if I have like really awesome gear right now. That I'm gonna get right. Like I've actually gone into castles, a couple of castles now, where I was just like a level or two under because some of those guys had the skulls where the level number is supposed to be. And they will absolutely kill you one shot, if not two.
Okay, I kind of like
Like
that too. I like the
100.
idea of like, hey, you're not ready for this. You need to get stronger. That's the
Yeah.
RPG piece of it that I like.
Yeah. So that was pretty crazy. I will say though, just real quick, just to brag, one of those castles, all of the samurai big dudes all had skulls. I killed them, Tim. All four of them.
Yeah, you did. You and your gold
It
equipment.
took me like 100 tries altogether, but it still did.
You haven't even you've done that, but you haven't even gotten back to the other main character. You
Right, yeah.
jerk.
So
Uh,
basically, when those main guys come rolling through, I'm gonna decimate them. I'm
yeah,
just gonna just
it'll be
annihilate them.
interesting to see because you've leveled up now way so much. What's it like when you get Yasuke as the main character? Is he gonna be like way
Yeah,
behind?
I'm
Like, do they
curious what
match
level
up?
he's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
when you
I'm
level up
actually
as
curious about
one, do
that
you
too.
level up as the other? And now you have skill points to use. Like I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, Assassin's Creed Shadows, really excellent game. There's a lot of these kind of low to mid eight, just review score wise, games that are out right now, and they're really, really good. Everything from the First Berserker Khazan to Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's just a lot of really good uh, games that have hit right now. There's a few that were like instant best game of the year, and then there's a few that are um, like Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know has some people who don't love it as much, but most people, I think most people, are really, really enjoying it. There are a few who are like, yeah, I don't really like whatever part of the gameplay. All right, fair enough, but maybe you don't like Assassin's Creed because it seems to me like this really went
Right.
back to some of the core what people wanted in this setting when they kept asking for give me a shogun setting in in
Yeah.
Japan. This is what they wanted. They wanted to be a sneaky ninja running along these roofs doing this stuff. So
Yeah. I will say I definitely think for, you know, what is usually Ubisoft, oh, the towers, unlock towers and find all the blips and do
hmm
all that stuff. There are blips and all those things. They do exist, but like there is a little bit of more like it's not so much in your way because you're having to like explore these things. But
yeah,
yeah, the game like it feels good. It's in my opinion, I think it is like the best feeling Assassin's Creed game in a while, if not ever. Um,
yeah.
Visually looks great. I didn't even talk about like weather plays a really big element, and the seasons
Oh,
also change.
I
So
didn't know
like
that.
some seasons it's obviously going to rain more, so like when it's nighttime and it's raining, like that's super helpful because the rain's drowning out the noise
Hmm.
of you moving around. Like
That's cool.
you can like snuff out the lanterns,
The
so then like
extinguishing
it's really
feature is
dark.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. The
I
use
I
of
saw
light
when
in
I
this is a nice addition because I don't think enough
yes.
games use light that cleverly. I mean, certainly some have, but I love the use of light in this one.
Well, with sneaking around, that seems like kind of like a really important element because
It
yeah, like
does.
you can play
Yeah.
with lighting and being in the dark. Icicles, like so when it's winter, there's icicles hanging off of like the edges of stuff, and
Mm.
I didn't realize when I was loading into an area there was like they give you the little thing in the corner that like will say some hints or whatever.
hmm
Apparently, if they can cause damage to enemies. Like I'm guessing if they're like walking under it, if you threw
Oh,
like a kunai at the ice, it's apparently gonna like damage them because it
that's
mentions
cool.
something like that. So like honestly, little details like that. Like again, I don't know if these are things that were already there or because of just the extra time they were like, well, let's kind of just like massage the mechanics and just add a little more
Mm.
detail to things. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
who knows? But either way, I appreciate it. I think it's
me
cool.
too.
So
And the last thing I'll mention too, I forgot to mention before, I do like the little village building mini game element of things. How you
yeah.
upgrade, you can
Yeah, because it
place your
lets you actually.
buildings.
Yeah, yep,
hmm
yep, 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 yep.
Yeah,
It
I love
reminds me
that.
of Dark Cloud, Tim. I don't know if you ever played the Dark
Dark.
Cloud
Okay,
games.
I'm familiar with them. The PS2 games.
Yes.
I didn't play them a ton, but I do remember there was some kind of town building element to it. I just can't remember
Yes.
exactly what it was
Yep,
like,
yep, yep.
but yeah. I never owned them. Those were again back to the old rental days, right? When you rent a game. I rented, I think the second one, maybe no, the first one. I can't remember now. Um, they were also those kind of games that I saw every time I went to the rental store, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe I do want to play it," you
It's like
know?
kind of, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. Assassin's Creed Shadows, really excellent game. A couple of headlines for us to review before we close out with anything else we're playing or watching that we want to highlight. Of course, the biggest thing was the Nintendo Direct that happened this week. It's interesting.
Yes.
It almost seemed like they wanted to get a bunch of announcements out of the way before the Switch 2 stuff hits this week, maybe.
Well, this is all Switch 1, so it's kind of like the swan song, basically. Because
Yeah.
from here on out, then it should be, I guess, Switch 2 focus.
And
But
some eagle-eyed viewers noticed that there's some fine print talking about Switch to boosted games, get games that will play better on Switch 2.
oh, okay, I didn't see that.
I don't know if that's been officially confirmed by Nintendo, but that's the scuttlebutt right now, is that there's
Okay.
some improvements if you play, like for example, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I would imagine is going to look and play better on the Switch 2, but it's going to be on the Switch, the regular Switch, of course, but I think it's going to
Right.
play better on the new hardware, which makes sense. I'll just go through some of these announcements they made real quick, and if there's any that jumped out to you, Dan, feel free to call them out. They showed a trailer for Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake,
It did.
which of course looks awesome.
It does.
That art style is amazing.
Yeah, they're keeping that
Um,
up. Doesn't look any worse, which is good.
right, doesn't look worse. Right. I
Yeah.
remember when the AI, the Somnium Files game came out, that got incredible reviews. That's just usually that kind
hmm
of narrative, digital book adventure style game isn't usually my thing, but they have
Yeah.
a game that's continuing that series called No Sleep for Kaname, I think is how you say it, is coming out in July. It's got some puzzles to it too. It's not like you're just reading and like watching a story. It's got puzzle elements to it.
Yeah.
Um, Atlas is remastering Raidu. I don't know what this game is. Raidu remastered the mystery of the Soulless Army. I don't know what this is.
This was one of those Atlas like spin-off within like I don't know if it falls within the world of SMT or Persona, but it's an
Okay.
Atlas RPG, and there was kind of like was a Digital Devil summoner. There was some of
Oh
those
yeah,
other
yeah.
Atlas kind of like Persona-esque SMT-esque RPGs that there was a few of them on the PS2.
Okay.
That's kind of like where most of them were. So
Okay.
this is like a remake of or a remaster of the PS2 game.
Well, and that's hitting on June 19th. So that's coming out here
Yeah,
pretty
it's
soon.
pretty cool.
We got a release date for that really interesting, very dark looking Pac-Man
Dude,
platformer, which is called Shadow Labyrinth. It's coming
yeah,
out on July 18th. I think this looks intriguing. I hope it's good because I think it looks really
it
cool.
does. Yeah,
Um,
it's. I mean, imagine getting it'd be super cool if this was like a Pac-Man origin story. So he's Puck, right? Because in the trailer they keep calling him Puck. So it's like then he becomes Pac-Man,
yeah.
and then what you played all those years ago is actually like him, like today, but like
Maybe
this is the
Puck is
past.
Pac-Man's father. That's the reveal at the
Mm,
end, is that
mm,
he is his father.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so that's coming out on July 18th this summer. The original Patapon 1 and 2 are both going to be released together
Dude,
on the Switch.
I'm
Did
so
you,
confused by this.
did you ever play these games?
No, but they were. I know they were PSP.
PSP, yeah.
I thought they were first party games. But these are being published by Namco Bandai on the Switch.
Yeah,
So I'm confused. I'm
yeah.
just confused.
I am too.
I don't
It
understand.
might have been just an exclusivity deal with Sony back in the day because it was very device specific, if I remember correctly. Didn't they have like, or
Yeah,
was that the Vita
PSP.
one? I feel like it was like there was some kind of gyroscope element to that game,
Well,
right?
so this Patapon, which is this one, which is rhythm based,
Oh,
and
it's
then
rhythm. Oh, okay.
there was another one where you're like that orange. Was it Loco Loco?
Loco
There's
Roco,
a couple
maybe.
of
I know
those
what you're
sort
talking
of
about.
like yeah. There's a couple of those like kind of like unique Japanese
Yeah.
like
Okay.
artsy
Yeah, I don't
type of
think I ever
games,
played
but
this one, but I'm familiar with
yeah,
like the name Patapon, and I knew they were
yeah,
PSP. So yeah.
it's a rhythm based game. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because it says the beat gets going on July 11th. So there you go.
Yeah, but you're doing combat, so like it's a
Uh
rhythm
huh.
game, but you're doing combat.
Nice. All right, so there you go. Patapon 1 and 2 replay. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar is coming out in August. Dan? Huh?
So they mentioned in the trailer something about it being a DS game. I think originally. I don't know if they said DS or 3DS.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Now,
but
here's a
like a
description according to IGN. Take it or leave it. It
mm,
says the infamous farm. I don't know why it's infamous. Farming Life Sim series returns with Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, taking inspiration from the original handheld release. Players will set
okay,
out to revitalize Zephyrtown. So I don't know if that means it's just a sequel or a reimagining of it. I don't think it's a remaster or a remake, though. I
I,
don't think.
I oh, you see, that was
Could be
that
wrong.
was my interpretation that it was a remaster remake.
Think
Either
so?
way,
Let's find out.
it looks. I think the thing that stuck out to me because obviously, my wife and I play these. It looks like there's more going on mechanically in this versus like the last new story a season, which
Yeah.
is which is incredibly odd
Yeah.
because you would think a newer game would have like more newer systems, but if this is a remake or remaster, um, then it's like why would this have? I don't know. That just stuck out to me. That's all. So,
Yeah, I'm googling it, and there's no clear answer on it. Let's see. Story of
okay,
Season is the original
because what
franchise.
is it? What's it called again?
The Grand Bazaar, but usually it would say like remastered or something like that. You would think, but maybe not.
Let's see, DS.
Yeah, I don't see any
Overall.
clarity
Oh
on.
wait, so yeah, so Nintendo DS. There was a Harvest. It was Harvest Moon DS grant because remember this used to be Harvest Moon technically.
Oh,
Um, Harvest Moon DS Grand Bazaar.
oh, it is a remake of that title.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, there you go. Harvest Moon
But I
Grand
think they
Bazaar.
looked all
Now Story
chibi
of
back in the other
Seasons
ones.
Grand Bazaar. There you go. All right, we solved it, guys. We did it.
Here we go. You're right.
Uh, we got to see more gameplay of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. They confirmed that they're still looking at 2025 to release this, but they did not give us a release date yet. I'm sure they're saving that for some kind of Switch 2 direct, maybe later this year. I would be surprised if they showed it in this upcoming week's uh, Switch 2. But you never know. It could be a huge, like, amazing surprise. It's a launch game or something like that. I don't think so, but that'd be amazing if that's the case. I think it's a holiday game. They just probably haven't nailed down the exact date yet for when it's gonna
I wonder if they
be
show
ready.
us a new Metroid Prime 4 trailer and it like looks better. They're like, here's how it looks on the
Yeah,
Switch 2, guys, and
you can
they
play it on
like
your poor Switch
almost
if you
like
want, or you could
yeah,
play it
and you're
here.
oh exactly.
But yeah, some of the gameplay looked awesome. I'm already kind of, and I think we've done this before, Dan. I think Kyle does this sometimes too, where it's like, all right, you don't have to show me anything else. I don't want to keep watching too much of this game. I'm ready to just play it. Like I am all in on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, but I did watch little glimpses of it here and there. I think it looks amazing, especially in my mind. I keep considering it's a Switch game. It's playing on Switch, so it lowers my expectation for what
Mm,
a game should look like visually. I still think it's impressive, regardless of that lowering of expectations. I think it looks great.
yeah. I have a hot take, Tim.
Let's hear it.
I have a hotake as
A
Ben
Hotake.
used to say on Easy Isles. To be fair, I actually have not played a single Metroid Prime game.
Well, then I don't know if we
I'm
want to
not
hear this.
intrigued. Yeah, I'm not intrigued by these whatsoever.
Mm.
I
You
don't know
never even
why. There's
tried
something
one?
about no. There's something
Mm.
about Metroid to me that I'm like, this is not how I want to play a Metroid game. Like I like the side
Did you play the
scrolling.
side-scrolling ones?
Oh yeah.
You
I
played
enjoy
Dread,
the
right?
yep, Dread. I have played I would say most Metroid games except for like maybe the original one.
Ooh, did you
I think
ever
that's the
play
only
the
one I've not
remake
actually
of the
played.
3DS one, the Samus Returns remake? Did you ever play that one? That was
Okay,
really good.
that one I missed.
That's a
So
really
that one
good
I
one.
missed.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, but I've played Super Metroid, Fusion, played
Fusion was
Dread.
amazing. Fusion was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
Fusion's awesome.
I prefer the side scrolling too, just because that's what I grew up playing when it comes to Metroid. That being
Yeah.
said, when they released the trilogy on the Wii, I had so much fun playing all three Metroid
Yeah.
Prime games. I had missed the first two on the GameCube, and then I think the third one was only on the Wii, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure.
I know that was definitely Wii. Yeah.
But they had a trilogy set, or I had the trilogy. I'm pretty sure they had a Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii. Anyway,
Mm,
I played all three of them, love them to death. The third one, especially, I thought was one of the most brilliant uses of the kind of Wii control. Of course, Nintendo using their
yeah.
hardware as only Nintendo can do. Um, just brilliant games, really great combos of puzzles, exploring, combat. I always thought the shooting felt really good in these games. So I really like these games a lot. I think they they also feed you a nice steady drip of upgrades over time, whether it's with your rockets or what your suit can do, or areas that you get
Hmm.
to and you can't advance. You have to go back and figure out what you need to upgrade before you can come back. I've always liked that. I like that
Yeah.
structure for a game. So, and I think these games play amazingly. The boss fights are always super epic. But I understand where you're coming from. I think if I had to pick, I
Yeah.
do prefer side scrolling for this franchise, but I love the Prime games. They're all really good. So
Yeah. I'm also again. I'm a third person perspective person, so I think it's a little bit of that too. Like I like
yeah,
seeing Samus. Like she looks rad. You know what I mean? So
she
it's like I
does.
want to see
Yeah.
her doing stuff,
Generally
not just
speaking, I'm
her,
right there
not
with you
just her
too.
hand. You
You're
know?
right. I
Yeah.
prefer a third person game. I've talked about this before. How first person perspectives don't
Yeah.
usually do it for me, but I do think these games are great. And the I would love for them to put the second and third game out on Switch as well. They did the first one. I don't know if it sold
Yeah.
super well, but boy, I love that game. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's so much fun. What a fun revisit. I would love to get 2 and 3. Somehow in the build up to 4 would be just perfect if they could somehow get. I don't even care if you remaster it that much. Just give it a little quick upgrade if you can. Make sure it runs smoothly, and then put it out. I would absolutely rebuy both those games.
It just
Love
seems
those
odd to
games.
only have the first one, but then not the
Yeah,
second and
it's
third, and
been
then make a new one.
it's been what, a year, over 2 years. It's either 1 or 2 years that the first one was remastered. So I'm a
It
little
wasn't too
surprised.
long ago. Yeah.
Can't remember if it
Yeah.
was the beginning of last year or the year before, but anyway. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'll go through a couple of these pretty quickly. We got Disney Villains Cursed Cafe, which was out that day. We got a new
So
game
dumb.
from the Wargroove devs and Starbound devs, Witchbrook.
Mm.
So it's this witchery life sim
Oh,
from Chucklefish, which looks like a lot of fun.
is that the dev?
Yeah,
Okay.
Chucklefish.
Because Chucklefish, I'm pretty sure, is the one that published Stardew
Right,
Valley.
they didn't develop it, but they published it. Right, right.
Yeah, because I remember like after like or like the initial Stardew hype of everyone being like, "Oh my god, Stardew Valley is amazing."
Hmm.
This game was announced years ago. Like I
It
remember this
was.
being announced because they were like, "Oh, Chucklefish is like, oh, like here's another game we're publishing," and it's like this
Yeah,
looks cool.
it
This is
does.
very cool.
It's got a great vibe to it. I like the idea of this kind of Hogwarts kind of academy, witch academy, but it
Yeah,
looks like a
which
lot of
school?
fun. Now, this to me, when you say cozy game, I think of stuff like this, Stardew Valley and stuff like
Right.
this.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Although
Definitely.
I'm not saying there's no stress element to it. You can run out of energy in Stardew, but generally speaking, it's not very punishing. So
I mean, you fight in the caves and stuff, but
when
yeah.
I think of cozy, I think of like I'm not going to be stressed out and feel punished in this game. So.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
All right, there's this new action adventure game coming out that they announced called The Eternal Life of Goldman, or is it Goldman? The Eternal Life of Goldman.
It's probably Goldman because I don't know. There's just something that strikes me about that character. It would be Goldman.
It's got to be Goldman.
It's like an old man platformer.
I love
It's
the
like
look of this. I think it looks great.
yes.
Now, I actually didn't see it in motion. Does he use this cane
Oh,
like
okay.
Scrooge style?
Yes.
Is he bouncing on it?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
all in
It looks really cool.
because
Yeah, it looks
that's
really
the
cool.
Shovel Knight only the Scrooge games that the
Ah, Shovel Knight.
yeah, those games and then Shovel Knight are the only ones that I've played that have done the bouncing cane. So
Well, Hollow Knight you can slash down and bounce off of stuff.
that's true.
Um,
But in stuff
yeah.
like shoot, what's it called? DuckTales. Is the DuckTales game on Game Boy where you could literally just bounce along on your cane,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was awesome. So I love that. So there you go. There's that.
Yeah. This
There's
looks cool.
Gradius Origins, which is cool. You're getting a collection of a bunch of these shoot 'em ups,
Yeah.
including a brand new Salamander 3. That's cool. So Gradius Origins will hit the Switch and probably other platforms, I would guess, on August 7th. So that's a really fun
Yeah.
kind of
That was
summer
cool.
arcade throwback game to play.
Yeah.
Very neat. Tamagotchi Plaza. What in the world? So there you go. I guess
Yeah.
you can.
Tamagotchi, Tim. And in the trailer, he kept saying Tamagotchi. And I was like, dude, what do you oh no, Tamagotchi? He was saying he
Tamagotchi.
was just saying it in a weird way, and I was like, what are you even talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
This,
how
dude,
did nobody proofread this? Like
don't call it Tamagotchi. So yeah, that comes
Tamagotchi.
out on June 27th. I guess it's got an online component too, where you can raise your Tamagotchis together. um,
God
we
damn it.
saw more of Pokemon Legends ZA, which is still set for 2025 sometime. I'm not that interested in this
I
one,
just
to be
still
honest. But
I'm just I don't see the appeal of being just in a city. I don't care how big it is. Like
yeah,
it just seems so weird to me.
yeah.
So weird.
You know what also looks weird, but also very intriguing? I've never played these games, but this Rhythm Heaven Groove game looks really quirky and interesting.
Yeah.
So that one looks
Yeah, the
fun.
DS, the original one was on the DS, I believe.
Yeah, so that looks fun. They unveiled this new virtual game card thing where you can now share games with people who are in your Switch Online family group. The
Yeah.
idea of like you don't just have a digital game, which I have a lot of digital games on the Switch. Now there'll actually be little virtual game cards that represent your games, which part of me was like, that's just an aesthetic change. I don't know what the big deal is. But the feature of being able to now share it for up to 2 weeks at a time, and then it returns to you like library style. You could re-lend it out if you want to them or to someone else. I like that because we definitely have a family group here, and sometimes my kids will log in as me to play a game, and I don't like that because now I have to put on these locks. So now I have to put on my password when I want to buy something on Switch. That way the kids aren't buying stuff in my account. Anyway, all that to say, it will streamline
See, I thought
things
all of
for
that
me.
was already there. I thought you could already share with the other accounts
I
games and
haven't been
stuff. Is
able
that not the
to.
case?
Mm-mm,
Oh,
mm-mm,
okay.
no.
That's so weird. So
We
you're telling me
we
this
we
entire
get we
generation.
game share in the sense that they just log in as me and play it. So like
Okay.
they have to be logged in on my account on their Switch to play games that I
It took
purchased.
them the entire Switch generation to figure this out. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding?
This feels like a feature they're introducing for the Switch 2, but they're kind of rolling it out in
Right.
April for the
Yeah.
original Switch, and it'll be ready for Switch 2. So,
That's just so odd to me. I thought this entire time you could. That's why I was watching this and I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about, Nintendo.
yeah.
Can't you already do like this? Seems like such a Nintendo thing to do. Like,
Yep.
let's make it like a digital cart. And I was like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? So confused.
They've rolled out a scissor reel with High on Life, which is kind of a surprise release on Switch. That's going to hit on May 6th. That's one I didn't expect. Star
Yeah.
Overdrive hits on April 10th. The Wandering Village, where you're on top of this giant kind of turtle-like beast that's literally wandering while you're building your village on its
Yeah.
back. That's July 17th. King of Meat coming out later sometime this year.
Good name.
Also,
Good name.
Lou's Lagoon Summer coming out sometime this year, and then Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time on May 21st. So, a whole bunch of games right now. Oh, Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3 are going to be hitting on April 15th. Those are really cool little puzzle games. Nice perspectives
Yeah.
on that one. A new entry in the Everybody's Golf series is going to hit the Switch sometime this year, which is, I think that's previously was PlayStation exclusive, wasn't it? Or no? I think it was something else. I thought that was PlayStation
No, because
exclusive.
they had Hot Shots Golf.
Hot Shots
Sony
is what I'm
has
thinking
Hot
of.
Shots
Ah,
Golf.
okay, I'm thinking of Hot Shots.
Yeah.
So this is called Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. Maybe that's why I
Yes.
didn't. That's why I made that
So
connection.
pretty close.
We also have Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is a throwback
Mm.
arcade style brawler. Looks like a lot of fun. I know Jeff was talking about this one in our chat as well. It does look really cool. Reminds me of old school arcade beat 'em up games.
It's from the TMNT Shredder's Revenge guys.
Yeah, good, really good
So
dev team. So I'm excited for this.
yeah.
Yeah, this one looks really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I don't think they put a release date on it yet. If they did, I don't see it.
Don't recall.
So, let's see. I'm just gonna click on that real quick to see if it says. Nope, it just says in 2025, and it is coming to all platforms. So, I
Good.
think that's. Did I miss anything? I think that's most of it.
I will say for the Switch One Swan Song Direct, it ended on a real like Miyamoto came out, which it's Miyamoto.
Yeah.
He's an important fella, but like they brought out Miyamoto to be like,
For an
here's
app.
an app
Yeah, the app I don't
where
care
we like
about.
announce all of our
Yeah.
stuff. Like here's our app, guy.
Yeah.
Like really? Like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
I will say one piece of
Oh
Nintendo news. Speaking of Shigeru Miyamoto, the man himself, um, it seems pretty official right now. They're heavy into the casting process for the Legend of Zelda movie, which is now
yeah.
being talked about as a trilogy of movies that are going to film in New
Oh,
Zealand,
I didn't catch that.
starting next year. Because I think, or starting later this year or next year, with I think the first one is planned for 2027, so about 2 years away from that first movie.
And yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
I don't know how that I don't know how a live action's.
Color me
I mean,
skeptical.
because like Link doesn't talk. Newsflash, everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, this is literally. So the first time we're gonna hear Link talk is in a live action movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
weird.
I'm
weird.
with you. I'm with you.
So-
Another couple quick.
Or Tim.
Yeah.
What they do is
No.
they you know, maybe Channing Tatum, right?
Oh my
Get
god.
Channing Tatum in there. He's Link, okay,
He's Link.
but he doesn't talk. He
He just smolders at the screen.
He smolders, and he also does the noises. That's all you get from Channing Tatum. That's all you get.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I actually would
So
be
there
on
you
board
go.
with that.
You're
Oh
welcome,
man.
Nintendo.
So we've talked about this game Mind's Eye from the GTA producer, and they're still looking
Oh,
at
yes.
June for this game to arrive, which is interesting. That
Seriously?
game is, yeah. Still
Wow.
looking at June. They confirmed
Okay.
that.
All right.
Also, one other thing I wanted to mention, just because I'm a big fan of Hogwarts Legacy, I loved that game. They have, it's pretty public knowledge that they scrapped what was seemingly going to be expansion or DLC content. Maybe some big story piece has been scrapped. But I don't think that's because they're just not making more of that game. I think they're making a sequel, and I think they're diving into the
Right.
sequel. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
Well, WB said it was it sold very well. So
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for this week. That's all I've been playing too. So I don't really have much. And then what else are you playing? What about you, Dan? Is there anything else you've been playing or watching you want to highlight before we wrap it up?
So in my free time, it's basically just been Assassin's Creed Shadows. Although I do want to just mention hilariously, so this new season of Fortnite, the last character you get, like when you're trying to complete the pages of like the unlockable characters and so on and so forth, right? Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. Sub-Zero. So they got Sub-Zero and more,
Dude.
which is funny because also like Scorpion is usually the more popular one, but
Yes.
I love that it's Sub-Zero. I think that's actually pretty rad.
Hey, by the way, new Mortal Kombat movie. Is that this year or next year that's coming out?
Yes.
I think that's this year, right?
Oh, I think it is. I can't remember.
I'm pumped, man. I want to rewatch. I've only watched that most recent one time. I know I had a really good time with
Right.
it, and I do kind of want to rewatch it. Again, it's got flaws, of course. It's got its corniness to
Yeah.
it, but boy, is it fun. I just think it was a really fun version of that world, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to the sequel. Carl Urban, come on, dude. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Although I still think he would make a better Kano. I think he would have been a perfect Kano.
Because he could just keep his normal accent, too, right? He could just kind of talk like himself.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like the way
Yeah.
he talks in The Boys, like is basically Kano at style.
Dude, he
you know,
is
'cause
Kano
Kano's
in The
just
Boys.
like a-
I didn't even think about that.
Right.
He already is Kano. Yeah, he
That's
is
what I'm
Kano.
saying. He would have been perfect
Yeah.
as Kano.
Yeah, you're
He would've
right.
been Perfect.
You're right.
But
Yeah, that
it
makes
is what it
sense.
is. It is what it is.
Nice. Well, I think this coming week, hopefully, we'll have time to catch up on Khazan, Atomfall, play a little bit, more Assassin's Creed Shadows. Is there anything else that's on your radar that's coming out? Because I know I've only been gone a couple days, but I feel like I'm way out of the loop. What else is coming up?
I mean, I don't know about like within the next week or two, but I mean, for me right now, like in the whole year that I know of so far, Expedition 33 is what I'm most excited about.
Dude, that's
so.
like in 2 weeks, I think. That's hitting, or 3 weeks. Yeah, it's coming soon.
Is it early April?
I think it's right in the middle of April.
know
I
it's
can't remember which
April.
date. It's like April, maybe like the 22nd. Does that sound right?
I'll look it up. But yeah, I have the collector or the special edition pre-ordered, which
Nice.
I think there's a big boy edition, and then there's the middle edition because that was $70. Like the game's gonna be 50, and then the special edition is 70, which is really awesome.
Well,
April 24th, so it is towards the end of
24th.
the year.
Okay. We
Or end of the month.
Yeah, and we are getting a Nintendo Direct this week again. This time Switch 2 centric, which is
yes.
going to upend whatever purchase plans we probably had in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's in June, like some of the leaks are saying. Maybe it's sooner. Maybe it's the holiday season.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a summer release. June maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a July or August either. I feel like Nintendo isn't afraid of kind of picking a time frame like they did March for the original Switch, right? And it's like, well, why
Nintendo
March?
does whatever they want to do.
That's right. So if it's June or July or August, I won't be surprised and I'll be excited. So, and Anyway, do got to wrap it up. I know it's getting late. I got to get this thing published for tomorrow. So, but Dan, thank you so much for adjusting with the time and getting
Of
here
course.
to chat through some stuff. Hopefully next time we'll have Kyle rejoin us again and we can talk more. We're going to do a look back on the year that was 2024. I know that's against the rules, but we're going to do it. I've got some interesting stats from last year, both in terms of sales as well as
Cool.
some game of the year stuff. So it'll be fun
Stats.
to look
Okay.
at some of that stuff. But anyway, thank you guys for watching and listening. Thank you, Dan. We'll see you next time. Bye.